Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Potsie Chronicles. And man, do we have some fights in this one.
We certainly do. This was like Happy Days of Mania. Well, that would be another good crossover. Happy Days X WWE. What do you think?
I don't know. Would it
Maybe
be like
not.
Richie versus John Cena or something?
Yeah. Would this be more UFC or WWE? Would you see Happy Days in the universe?
WWE, because I'd see it more goofy.
Yeah, good point. Would Fonzie be John Cena?
Yeah.
Who would Richie be?
Oof. I'll tell you this. Potsie would probably be Danhausen.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Who would Chuck be? Chuck would be The Rock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else? Howard would be Paul Heyman.
Yes, I can see that.
Oh, Ralph Malph. Who would Ralph Malph? Logan Paul?
Ooh, yeah. I'd say so.
Yeah.
Who would Richie be, though?
Oh, we totally forgot about Richie. Yeah. Trying to think. Richie. Who would Richie be in? I mean, if you go back in time. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yes.
I know. Cody. He'd be like probably Cody.
Yeah, I could see him going out. Yeah, because he actually did wear a suit in this episode. He'd go on in his suit with his belt. I could see him also signing autographs for 5 hours after the match, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he would totally be cool. Good call. So, yeah, but sadly, this was not a WWE X Happy Days matchup, but there was some fighting. This episode was called In the Name of Love. Episode 12, believe it or not. Can you believe we made it this far?
Honestly, I can't believe that we got past the first episode.
Yeah, exactly. Season 1, episode 12. We are on disc number 3 of the 3 discs for Happy Days. And I want to give a public service announcement. If you check something out from the library, like, I don't know, a Happy Days complete first season DVD, please make sure you remember to renew it. Because I totally forgot to renew it. I don't know, I lost track of time. And there's a certain point where if you don't renew it right, you will own it because it will be marked as a lost item. And very, very close to this being marked as a lost item. I mean, if I want to buy Happy Days, the complete first season, I'd like to have the option to do it. Like, oh, I want to buy it instead of like kind of being forced to, you know? Oh, yeah, almost forced to, but thankfully I renewed it. Please remember to renew all your periodicals from the library. That's a PSA, yes, from the Potsie Chronicles. Now, what we like to do before we get started is, even though my son's seen the episode, we look at the title and I say, what do you think this episode is about? So this episode is called In the Name of Love. What did you think this episode was about?
So, I felt like it was going to be kind of similar to the last episode. I forgot what the name of the episode was.
What was it? Was that the one, the costume party? These have all kind of run together.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh, yes. The costume where he had the blind date and she was really tall and that was the big problem in the story. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be kind of something like, I wasn't really sure, but I thought it would be like to the point where it'd say, oh, in the name of love or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe like Richie would have said that about some girl or whatever. Like, oh, I'm just doing it in the name of love.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Wouldn't it have been weird if like the girl from last week, the tall girl, came back like they kind of zip coded it? Is zip code a word? I don't know. If they, yeah, that's a no. If they kind of fast forwarded to the summer, like that was the next episode, and it was like the tall girl again, and it was Richie and her both being uncomfortable. Because remember how at the end he said he wanted to see her again when she came in the summer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been something. But getting back to this, you thought it would be Richie just saying like, oh, this is in the name of love, like to some girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of was, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, in a way.
I feel like that's a song lyric too, like the supreme stop in the name of love. Is that the name of the song? I don't know. Then there was also a Thompson Twins song. Do you know who the Thompson Twins are?
No,
a band in the 80s. I don't know. I'm sure you've heard some of their music. And I remember them saying In the Name of Love. I think that was the name of a song from like an 80s movie. Somebody Google that. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But yeah.
I know The Power of Love.
Yes, The Power of Love. Yes. That's a good song.
From Back to the Future, whatever you may call it.
I am going to go on record and say the Back to the Future trilogy is the greatest trilogy in the history of movies. I'm trying to think what else is a trilogy, though. You know, I've seen Back to the Future 1 and 2. We've talked about how it's not really 1 because it was really Back to the... You know what I mean? But how, like, Scream was... Anyways, this is another episode. Check out our older episodes, too, by the way. But Back to the Future and Back to the Future 2, I've seen both of those many times. I've only seen Back to the Future 3 once. So I don't even remember it, you know?
I haven't even seen Back to the Future 3.
Yeah, we have to watch that sometime. Maybe after all these happy days. But yeah, I'm going on record to say that that's the best trilogy ever. I'm trying to think of other trilogy movies. Are there 3 Avatars?
I believe
There's 2,
so.
right?
Yeah,
3 Avatars? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's better than that. I've seen none of the Avatars. You can make the case that, like, Star Wars isn't really a trilogy now that there's like 800 movies, but there were like 3 to begin with, which, you know what? It always kind of got under my saddle, if you will, that it was like Star Wars Episode 4. They started with Episode 4. That first one was like Episode 4. So then, like, 20 years later, they did like Episode 1, and they had like Darth Vader as a little child, and everybody hated it.
Wait.
I know his name was Anakin Skywalker. Calm down. But not you. Not you. I'm talking to the people.
Would Marty McFly be Richie Cunnigham, do you think?
With the Fawn? Then would that make the Fawns Doc Brown?
That's what I was thinking.
Who would be Biff? Yeah, I guess I could see Richie as Marty McFly. Be Biff. No. But, yeah. What do you think? Is Back to the Future the greatest trilogy ever, even though you've only seen 2 movies?
I'm just trying to think, because, like, I mean, I'm sure the third one is great.
Yeah, technically, not technically, but I can only remember 2 movies, but I don't really know any, like, other trilogies. There's the Godfather trilogy. The Godfather 3 was supposed to be not good. I think I've seen one of those. But, yeah. But that's my call. Back to the Future is the greatest trilogy in the history of cinema. What do you think? I already asked. Never mind. All right. So before we move on, there was something we missed last week, right?
So in the last episode, we had forgotten to mention that they had made it, I believe, is it called shadow puppets?
Yeah, shadow puppets, which that was in our artwork, so I don't know how we forgot about it. Yeah, Richie had a light in the basement, and he was like making puppets with his hands against the wall. Pretty sure that's called shadow puppets, but yeah, so yeah, we totally missed that. It wasn't like a key plot point, but it was something that he was doing as all the other couples made out.
Yeah.
So yeah. So, you ready to just jump right into the episode?
I'm ready to dive right in.
Yes, let's just get started. Opening credits, exactly the same. We've talked about it many times. So let's just go ahead. We'll probably only say something once anything changes, which, if we go a little longer, it will, but, we'll see. So, we jump right in. We see a glass filled with ice and what looked to be a ketchup bottle, and it absolutely was a ketchup bottle, ketchup being poured into the ice.
Now, who do we see pouring this in? Potsie. Weber pouring this ketchup into this cup of ice.
And Richie informs him, hey, Potsie, I'll lend you the money for a soda so you don't have to drink ketchup. And Potsie's like, I love ketchup freezes. Then he takes it and winces. How much do you think a soda was at Arnold's in the presumably 50s when this happened?
I'm just trying to think. I'm going to say 50 cents for a soda.
Think?
Yeah.
That much? I don't know, but here's the thing I'm thinking is like, nowadays I could totally see drinking a ketchup freeze with the prices of sodas at restaurants, but back then I feel like he could have swung it somehow. But I don't know. Maybe not. So then Ralph Mouth comes in and he mentions that he's in love. And they're like, oh, with so-and-so. I can't remember her name. It's the name of his girlfriend. And he said he broke up with her. But then he says it's someone else. And what was her name?
Was it Christy?
Yeah, it was Christy something. I don't remember. We need to take notes. But yeah, he's in love with Christy. And then Potsie claims that's no fair. I think he said, he might not have said no fair, because he was in love with Christy. So they begin kind of fighting over her, even though I have no idea that she even knows either of those two exist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Christy comes in and she waves, and Potsie and Ralph Mouth are fighting over who she waved to. And then apparently she waved to Richie.
Yeah, and I believe afterwards, doesn't she ask if he'd like to study with her?
Yeah, she wants to study with Richie. So Richie accepts the invitation to study with her, and Potsie and Ralph Mouth are completely jealous, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Christy's like, bye, whoever.
That was the Potsie and Ralph, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she did have no idea who either of those two are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we cut to the Cunnigham house. Richie is nervously dressed in his Cody Rhodes gear, as we said earlier, with a suit, but he didn't have a tie on. Does Cody usually wear a tie?
I believe so.
Yeah.
He's
So
got his politician suit.
yeah, so kind of like half Cody, maybe a
Yeah.
little more than half, maybe 75% Cody. So he's got like 90 books on the table, and he's got these two chairs, and he's moving all the chairs, and Howard comes down the stairs, and he's kind of like staring at him, going like, what are you doing, Richard? But then Howard kind of gives him a hard time for being so nervous. And doesn't Marion come in too?
I believe so.
Yeah, then Marion comes in and joins the fracas. Then the doorbell rings, and Richie goes nuts. He's like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. And he literally jumps over everybody to go get the door. And instead of who he thinks it is, it's Potsie. And then Howard says something like, you used half a bottle of my best aftershave lotion for Potsie. And then Richie's like, Potsie, what are you doing here? And Potsie's like, don't you remember that poem about being a great best friend? So Potsie's apparently there to try and take the lady who has no idea who Potsie is away from Richie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the doorbell rings again, and it is Christy, and Richie kicks Potsie out. Maybe Potsie's going to his therapist, tell him everything that's happened. His best friend kicked him out.
Yeah, he kind of just threw him under the bus, because I remember Christy walks in, and she's like, oh, what's Potsie doing here?
Yeah.
And then he's just like, oh, well, he was actually just leaving.
Yeah. So he kicks Potsie out. And doesn't she say, like, well, can't we study upstairs or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so she wants to study upstairs. So Richie carries like 90 books upstairs.
Honestly, that does make sense, because, like, they had this table with two chairs, and they had, like, his parents just staring them down.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how uncomfortable that is. No privacy.
Yeah, just in the middle of his whole family room, living room, what have you. So they go upstairs, they go into the room with Richie's perhaps stolen signs, perhaps not. You noticed too that he had an eye doctor's chart up there, right?
Yeah, that was just the weirdest thing. Like, he has such a weird room. He's got, like, signs that he probably stole off the road with. I don't even know how he would have done that, considering someone had to have seen him steal a sign or something. And then he's got an eye doctor chart for some reason now. So
yeah, and he also had like two things of butterflies. I don't know if they were like butterflies that previously existed. Did you notice that? It was like a thing of two big posters of butterflies. I think that of different kinds of butterflies. It's very odd. I don't know about this Richie Cunningham.
yeah.
Yeah, so, and then the other thing I noticed, like she sat on his bed, and then he went to get his chair to sit on his chair. And it looked like there was only one bed. Remember when Potsie was there and there were two beds?
Yeah.
That's really weird, because did they just wheel a bed in when Richie has company?
Yeah, I don't know. That was really weird.
Yeah. So they begin studying. Then Joni bursts in the door and starts saying, Richie and Christy sitting in a tree, Kissing. And then doesn't he slam the door in her face?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they start studying again, and then Howard bursts in the door, and he asks how their studying's going. They've been up there for like 30 seconds.
Here's the thing, right? Does this family not know about privacy?
Yeah.
I mean, like, they're always barging in. I remember in the first episode, Howard just barged in when he was taking a shower, I believe.
Yeah, yes.
You got Marion bursting down the door when they were kind of doing some, like...
Yeah, with their milk and cookies.
Yeah.
Which, the Fawns and Pockets love their milk and cookies.
Yeah, especially Pockets.
Yeah.
Then there was, I believe, Howard bursting down the door in the bathroom. I believe that was last episode.
Yeah.
And now you got not only Joni, but Howard barging down his door when they're just trying to study.
Yeah. And then, as he leaves the door open. I guess he doesn't trust Richie.
Yeah.
But then, as he leaves, Christy says to Richie, "Do you want to kiss me?" And Richie's like, yeah, I'd like to do that. So then he shuts the door and he kisses her. And then I think we just cut away, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So we cut to Arnold's again. At a booth is Ralph, Potsie, and on the other side is Richie. And Ralph Mouth's got quite the sweater going on here. Do you remember it?
The sweater?
That Ralph Mouth was wearing? Ralph Mouth is like a fashion plate.
I can't remember. You know what?
Yeah.
I think, now that you mention that, he'd probably be more of a Seth Rollins in that case.
Yes, the visionary Ralph Mouth. Yes. I like it. Yeah, because he's got that shoestring bow tie. He's got, like, kind of the bubble gum as his quirk, blowing those bubbles.
He's got kind of the same vibe as Seth Rollins, too.
Yeah, all those different, like, page boy hats. I believe he wore, like, a leather-looking page boy hat in this one. So, yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Visionary. Yeah.
Yes.
Aren't they asking him about Christy?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and then doesn't he mention he wants to go steady with her, but he's not sure how to ask her?
Yeah.
So they're like, go ask Fonz. So they're like, Fonzie. And Fonzie's at a booth all by himself reading Hot Rod magazine. And Richie's like, doesn't he say, I need some advice, Fonzie?
Yeah.
And then Potsie and Ralph Mouse sit down. And doesn't he say something like, I didn't know I was giving a lecture?
Yeah.
And then he literally tells him to scram. He goes, scram. And then Ralph Mouth and Potsie leave, and Richie's like telling him what's going on.
Wait, what did he say he was top 2 in?
Oh, yeah. Before he tells him to scram, one of them, I can't remember who, is like, you're the most worldly person, Fonzie. And Fonzie's like, hey, I'm not the most worldly, but I'm in the top 2, which I guess means he's second.
Yeah.
Because what else could he be if he's not number 1?
I'm curious, because one, why would he say top 2 if he,
Yeah. Who's number 1?
Number 1.
Yeah. Skittle? What's his name?
Skizzy?
Skizzy number 1? No, it can't be Skizzy.
Could it be Cut?
It could be Cut. Oh, it's Bag.
Bag, yeah.
It's got to be Bag. Bag's a drummer and
he's like leader of the Demons, right?
Yeah, so that I think could be number 1. So then he tells Richie, take her to the drive-in, and Richie's like, the drive-in is like, I'm not finished yet. Like, he's getting really pissed. Potsie is getting, we'll talk about this. There's a lot of fighting in this episode, as you'll see. More bickering, not necessarily fighting. But Fonzie tells them to park at a certain spot. Like he said, row L space 7, which I didn't know that they had designations at drive-ins. Did you?
I mean, I don't even think I've been to a drive-in, so yeah. I just assumed so.
Yeah, they don't really have a lot of drive-ins now. That was kind of bigger in the 50s and whatnot, but there's a couple still around. But, like, I remember I went to the drive-in when I was younger, and, like, it was just a bunch of, like, rocks that you had to go on and, like, some grass. Like, it didn't say, like, this is space L, row 5. I don't know. So, yeah, and then he's like, well, why park there? And Fonzie's like, the speaker's busted. There's nothing to do but make out. So Richie's all excited. So then we cut to the drive-in. Here's the crazy thing. So I guess this was a thing. Maybe it still is in the drive-ins, because I believe you have to pay per person for the most part instead of per car. So what would happen is people would, like, hide in the trunk so that they would go in and there'd be one person and they'd pay, like, back then it was probably like 5 cents. But we saw like 4 people jump out of the trunk in this drive-in scene that parks next to Richie. Remember that?
Yeah, it looked like a clown car with how many people came out.
Yeah, the 50s and all their cars. But yeah, so they saved probably a grand total of 20 cents by being in the trunk. I wonder how they would do that now. Like, there's got to be some way of like, do you think that they have like an inspector that inspects the trunk, like going through like borders now at drive-ins? Or do you think that they like, it's just like loss prevention? Every so often, someone's going to be in the trunk at a drive-in.
Maybe, here's my guess. If it was just one person coming in, I think they're going to suspect it.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, you come into the drive-in by yourself. Yeah, then maybe they're like, open the trunk. That would be quite the position of like, what would that be? Like a drive-in inspector? But then here's the deal. How much are you paying this drive-in inspector?
Yeah, I don't know, because
you could probably make your money back, because I'm guessing the drive-in's probably like $90 now. So you're probably paying the drive-in inspector $5 an hour. Yeah, you'd make your money back. So yeah, drive-in inspector. I wonder if they have those anywhere, or if we just came up with that.
We probably just came.
Yeah. So if you're going to the drive-in this summer and you see a drive-in inspector, that you could thank the Potsie Chronicles. So
drive-in producers.
Yeah. Hollywood producers. That's a way to make your money back. Loss prevention. When they do the whole theater owner shindig that we should be invited to, talk about these drive-in inspectors. Make your money back. So then we pan over to Christy and Richie in the car. Richie's like, oh, the speaker doesn't work. And she's like, oh, I've seen this movie 5 times. That's okay. And she's like, I love monster movies. So I guess Richie took her to a monster movie. What kind of monster movies did they have in the 50s?
I don't know. And to be honest, why would he take a girl to a monster movie, considering, wouldn't that be like a horror movie or something?
Yeah, like, was it called horror back then? I'm trying to think, like, the 50s, like, would they have had stuff like a possessed doll in the 1950s? Did they even know about stuff like that back then?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have probably been, like, too overboard.
Yeah, like, maybe, I don't know how they did, like, the pitch meetings in the 50s, but like some guys come in, he's like, it's a doll and it's possessed, and they're like, what? Are you speaking my language?
Yeah.
They're like, no, it's just Godzilla. Like, was Godzilla the only monster? I guess like Frankenstein, probably like all those old Universal movies like Dracula, Frankenstein, but there had to be something else, because unless there was one studio, like, somebody had to have another monster. Oh, there was also like the creature from the Black Lagoon. I think that's what it was called. When I was a kid, they had that on TV, and they had it in 3D. Like, you could go to the drugstore, or you can go to like the convenience store and get 3D glasses. Have you ever seen a 3D movie? We kind of talked about
one.
You have? What one did you see?
Avatar 2.
Wait, that was in 3D?
Yes.
What happened in that? Like, what? Tell me one thing you remember. Like, did someone come at you or something?
I don't know, honestly. I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know if there's really a great way to explain it, but like, I guess you just see the explosions and whatnot in 3D.
Yeah. Well, this creature from the Black Lagoon was on at like probably 3 a.m. So I videotaped it, did the whole like timer. That's another story. We'll get into that later. But anyways, I had those 3D glasses, and like barely anything happened. It was like the creature like swam toward you, and it looked like he was coming at you when you had these 3D glasses on. I saw Jaws 3D too. Jaws 3 was Jaws 3D. Can you believe that?
That's crazy.
That was a terrible movie. Like, Jaws.
Wait, there's 3 Jaws movies?
There's like 4, I think.
I thought there was only 1.
No, there was 1, and then there was 2, and then there was Jaws 3D. Then I believe there was 4, and I think it stopped at 4. And like 1 was good. I feel like 2 was good. I don't remember. And then 3 was just terrible. But yeah, if I remember correctly, like, the 3D glasses was like Jaws, the part that you put over your nose was like the shark.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I think Jaws came out at the same time Happy Days did, but yeah. So I don't know what monster movie it was, but she loves monster movies. Got to see what the 1950s monster movies was. And then Richie asks if she would like to go steady, and she declines and says she has to hear this certain song, right?
Yeah.
And then Richie's like, well, I'll put it on the radio. And I'm like, Richie, do you have Spotify? Like, how are you going to just magically make this song come on the radio? And she's like, no, she hears it in her head. Some people hear bells, but she hears this song that I can't remember what it was called.
Okay, so he's trying to talk to her, and then this guy comes out of nowhere, and he's just like, hey, have you guys seen any of these kids or whatever?
Yeah, he says he's looking for a he's carrying like 90 bags of popcorn and like all these sodas, and he's like, is this row K? And if I remember correctly, that's row L, so theoretically it should be right in front of him. And he's like, I'm looking for Lillian and 7 kids. And I'm thinking, does this guy have 7 kids, or is it like one of his kids and like 6 friends, like they're having a slumber party? And were any of them in the trunk, or did this guy pay full price?
Yeah, I don't know, but I know he was pretty stressed out.
Yeah, and then Richie's like, and then remember Richie's like, no, this is row K, and he's like, geez, you don't have to bite my head off. And then he starts yelling for like, Lillian, where's Lillian? This guy should be a series regular.
And then I'm pretty sure he said something like, I'm sorry, I don't like to annoy people.
Yeah, he was all apologetic to Richie. And he might have actually interrupted the whole going steady thing. I can't remember which order it came in, but we do remember this guy. What do you think we should name this guy? This guy should have a name like Cut and some of the other characters.
I'd probably say something like, I don't know, Popcorn or Roque.
Yeah, I like that. Either one. Yeah, so... And then this guy goes and he's screaming. Did anybody shush him as he was yelling for Lillian?
I don't know.
The thing is like, how big is this drive-in? Like, he can't find this car. And again, I know Richie was in row L because that's the one that Fonzie said to go in. And K, if I'm not mistaken, it comes right before L in the alphabet.
Yeah.
So Lillian's got to be close. She's got to hear her perhaps husband yelling for her. So we cut to the Cunnigham house. The 4 of them are eating. They get the breakfast table, and there are 4 chairs this time. I remember a couple episodes back, there were only 3. But there are 4. They're all eating, and Richie's like, oh, she's not interested in me. And Howard's like, well, your mother wasn't interested in me, but I won her over. I did some sidewalk art. Remember that?
Yeah.
That said, I love. It was like an eye, a heart, and a sheep. And a female sheep is called a ewe. So it said, I love you. And then apparently someone sent Marion a 5-pound box of candy, which she thought was Howard, but apparently wasn't.
Yeah, that was pretty odd.
Yeah. So Howard encourages Richie to keep trying, you know? So Richie's like, yeah, I'm going to keep trying. Even though she has no interest in me, I'm going to keep trying. You would think like, you know, maybe get over it, dude. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I mean, there's like, how many fish in the sea?
Yeah, quite a few fish in the sea. There's that girl, you know, the tall girl, too.
Besides, he's found a lot of girls in the past, too. I mean, that's basically like the premise of many of the episodes that he's been in, you know?
Yeah, that's like a lot of girls in 12 episodes, you know? So he decides to do that. So we cut to the street. Richie is doing that whole I love you, but it's an I, it's a heart, and a sheep. And then Fonzie in the leather jacket is watching. Fonzie watching again.
He's always watching.
Yeah, he's watching.
I really wonder what he's scheming for the last episode.
I really think you might be right. I really don't remember Fonzie doing something diabolical, but I feel like he has to with all this watching in just 12 episodes. But Fonzie's like, what is that? And he's like, oh, it says I love you. And he's like, that's a sheep. He's like, what's a female sheep? And Fonzie's like, how am I supposed to know that? It doesn't look like one. So then he tells Fonzie that Christy always comes by and she'll see it. So then, like, doesn't Richie point it out? She's like, oh, that's great. And she just keeps walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even think she realizes that it says you. She read it and I think she went, I love sheep.
Yeah. So then we cut to Arnold's. We see Ralph Mouth, Potsie, and Richie all in a booth. And then Christy comes in and is talking to Richie about something. And then they notice like she's staring at the busboy, and the busboy has a tattoo on his arm. So Richie thinks what he's got to do is get a tattoo, and then Christy will love him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we cut to, remember how I was asking if there were tattoo parlors in the 50s?
Yeah.
Apparently there was a tattoo parlor in the 50s. Apparently it's not next to Howard. The other thing about it is like they cut to the tattoo parlor and it looks like it's night out. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
It looks like kind of seedy, but not too seedy. There's someone getting a tattoo in the chair and it just says tattoo. So yeah, apparently there was at least one tattoo parlor in the 50s.
That's a pretty creative name, Tattoo.
Yeah, that's all it says is tattoo. Yeah, I wonder if it said like Mickey's tattoo parlor, like why it didn't have its own name, you know? Maybe they just thought like, we're only going to do one tattoo scene, so why name it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like right before they enter the tattoo place, like Richie's like, do I really have to get a tattoo?
Yeah. So then they go inside the tattoo parlor, and then we cut to the Cunnigham house. Here's where a fight begins. Howard and Marion are fighting over the checks. Apparently, Marion, instead of writing void, is writing oops, right?
Yeah.
So they start fighting over the checks. Like, they're really bickering. I don't think I've ever seen those two bicker like this.
And then I believe, like, they hear the door open, so then Marion's like, don't fight in front of the children.
Yeah, don't fight in front of the children, which, you know, we were getting really close to that episode of, like, Howard and Marion getting a divorce. Well, probably not. But, yeah, Joni comes in, and then she's talking about Richie getting a tattoo, and they're like, what? And she said she heard it from, like, one of her friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder how that word got out back in the 50s. I didn't have TikTok.
Yeah.
So then Howard, like, just abruptly leaves, and he's like, I'm going to put a stop to this.
And then I remember Marion's like, what if he already has one? And he said, well, I'm going to have to write oops on it.
Yeah. So then we cut to the tattoo parlor. Apparently, Richie has $5, and which, like, $5 seems like you would get it. Like, I don't know how much tattoos are now, but they were talking like $50 for tattoos. I mean, everything's so expensive now. I would imagine that tattoos are more than $50, but... You know, in the 50s, there were $50. That seems like $5,000 nowadays, you know?
Yeah.
Are tattoos $5,000? If people that have arm sleeves, like, are they spending, like, house money?
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah. But anyways, so he wants to get, like, some kind of fish, and then they're like, well, maybe you could get a mackerel. Why did he want to get a fish? Do you remember? Did they ever say why he wanted a fish? He wanted a shark, I think, right?
I think it was because it was, like, the cheapest.
Oh.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Because he only had $5, and what he could get with $5 is a fish. And the guy, I believe, said, like, you could get a shark with $10, but...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So Howard comes in all angry, and Ralph and Potsie scram once again. They're not doing anything with this. And then Howard starts yelling at Richie. Then he starts yelling at the tattoo guy. And the tattoo guy was like not really acting like he was scared, but was scared. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like he's like, hey, I was just, but like he wasn't convincingly scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what Howard said was like, if you put anything on my son's arm, I'm suing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then the tattoo guy was like, I was just humoring him, but it's like, I don't want to say anything bad about that actor, but like, he didn't really have me convinced that he was scared.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to be because, you know, he kind of...
I think he even said something like, listen to your father's advice.
Yeah, because he did do something like that where I can't remember what he did. Like his lines were like he was supposed to be scared, but he just seemed kind of nonchalant about it. Yeah, like, yeah, listen to your father. You don't want a tattoo. But yeah, so I don't know if we'll ever see that guy again. That would be something if the tattoo artist was a thing. I mean, someone else has got to get a tattoo, right?
We'll call him Mickey just because.
Yeah, Mickey's tattoo. Yeah. Yeah. So we cut away from the tattoo parlor. We cut to Richie's bedroom, and we see that someone is drawing a fish on his arm. That someone is Fonzie, and Fonzie does threaten Richie. He says something like, if you move your arm again, my fist is going to be up your nose or something, right?
Yeah, which is pretty great.
Yeah. A mad Fonzie is a great Fonzie because when he's mad, he's still calm somehow.
He was like really pissed this episode.
Yeah, I think Fonzie needs to go to the therapist too because he's got to have such a hatred for those three.
I feel like he's getting like so tired of analyzing everything, but he knows that he has to wait like another 240 episodes to, use his plan.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not going to, it's kind of like you, if you're going to tap out, he's like, oh, there's no way I'm going to make it. I'm going to have to do something now. I can't be this guy that pretends to like these three idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, Marin or somebody's trying to get in the door, right? Oh, it was Howard, and he's like, why is your door locked? And then, like, wait, he's got a door lock? Why didn't he do that when he had his girl over?
Just to add on to the chaos of what's going on. And, like, I feel like Richie's, like, kind of trying to move again.
Yeah.
Just because the door's locked and whatnot.
Yeah, I think he was all worried, right? Like that somehow they're going to break into his door. And this time Ralph Mouth and Potsie are there watching him get it right.
I gotta say, like, is it really that hard to just stay still?
Yeah, why was he so nervous?
Yeah.
Like, his door was locked. Like, even if Howard broke the door down, I'm sure he would have been almost done.
Yeah.
And let's say Howard did break the door down. First of all, Howard would have to go to his hardware store probably to pick some things up to fix the door. But what do you think Howard would do? Like, the tattoo is not real. Like, he just drew on himself.
Yeah.
Like, he'd probably be upset, but, like, it's not the same as him getting a real tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we cut to outside. Christy and Richie are on kind of a picnic blanket, perhaps. I don't know. And are they like studying or something?
I believe so.
Yeah. And then Richie shows Christy his tattoo, and Christy is not impressed. And Richie's like, well, I thought you'd like it because you like that busboy's tattoo. And she's like, yeah, well, he can make it wiggle.
And it's like, what?
Yeah, what?
What does that mean?
Yeah. So then I think Richie gets a handkerchief out. And he wipes it off. Then he gives her the handkerchief, which, like, Jesus.
Yeah, and I feel like he's doing this thing where he's, like, asking her, what can I do to make it so you like me and whatnot?
Yeah, and, like, sir, I mean, your desperation's showing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I probably was the same when I was in high school. But the point is like, kind of looking back at that, it's like, dude. Yeah,
it is kind of crazy, though. He has really grown some balls.
Yeah, and then doesn't she say, like, just give it time, it might happen?
Yeah,
like,
keyword might.
Yeah, she's giving him false hope. She probably just wants this guy off her back.
Yeah,
she's probably like, hey, why don't you just go see that tall girl that's coming back in the summer?
This will probably be the last time we ever see Christy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't know if it is, but yeah, it probably is. Then we cut to the kitchen table again. They're eating. They seem to eat a lot together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's what they did in the 50s. But then doesn't Richie, like, tell Howard about how, like, things aren't working out with her or something?
I think so.
Yeah. And then he's like to his mom, what would you have done if he wasn't interested? And she said something like, oh, I would have found the guy with the box of candy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really crazy, though, because, like, while they were, like, talking about that love and jazz and whatnot,
yeah,
Joni had her stupid little Mickey Mouse ears.
Yeah, I wonder why she's wearing that at the dinner table. And they didn't, well, this was, I guess, presumably the breakfast. They seem to have a table for breakfast and a table for dinner. Like, do a lot of people have that?
I don't know. And, like, I don't understand, like, why she's wearing those Mickey Mouse ears. Is it, like, does she just think she's Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse or whatnot? Like, what does she, like, think she's accomplishing with those Mickey Mouse ears?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, there was never a Disneyland in Wisconsin. Yeah. So I don't know, like, what the point of that was. I don't know if they would have gone to Disney, perhaps, but
I feel like Wisconsin is pretty far from both Disney resorts.
Yeah,
so.
Do you think, I don't know when one of those is like newer. I don't know which one is newer. I don't know if they were both open in the 50s. I feel like one of them was open in the 50s. Can you see them loading up their car, the Cunninghams, and all going to the Disney resort?
They should have an episode not only going to the Disney resort, but also like having a road trip.
Yeah, there we go again with our ideas.
Maybe it could be to like one of Chuck's away games or something.
Yeah, maybe Chuck is playing in Orlando.
For the Magic.
Yeah, Chuck goes pro, he plays for the Magic, and they go to Disney World, right?
Yes.
And then maybe there's a whole thing with Mickey Mouse where he gets pissed because it's Mickey's tattoo parlor.
Yes.
So that's the episode. In the Name of Love, Season 1, Episode 12. Richie is still going to try with Christy, and as you mentioned, we'll probably never see Christy again. Richie will probably never see Christy again. She'll probably tell her dad what's going on, and her dad will probably promptly move her out of the school district so they don't have this Richie Cunnigham bothering them.
What do you think Howard was in this episode? Helpful Howard or horrible Howard? I know my answer.
This is kind of rough because he did kind of open the door on them and check them, which, depending on your point of view, could either be helpful or harmful. He was pretty helpful trying to get Richie from being an idiot and getting a tattoo that he's probably going to regret when he's not a lawyer. I'm going to say helpful. What do you say?
I'm going to say helpful as well because, like, he did prevent him from getting that tattoo, which he was getting that tattoo for that girl that doesn't even really care about him anyway, so...
Well, you could go along the lines of harmful because he kind of encouraged Richie to go after this girl that had no interest in him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I'm still going to say with helpful because I think that him having him not get that tattoo and kind of threatening that guy that wasn't scared, makes him helpful.
I mean, I think he was also just trying to be helpful in that case, and I don't think he thought that, like, Richie would go, like, that far.
Yeah, so good point, yeah. So helpful Howard, I'm going to say helpful.
I'm going to say helpful as well.
Yes, so that was Season 1, Episode 12, In the Name of Love. As we end, as we always do, I have a question. Do you want to watch another episode?
Feeling like the Fonz right now. Oh, God. Yes.
All right. Thank you for listening. If you liked it, please give us a like, a good review, subscribe, tell everyone you know. If you didn't like it, please keep it to yourself. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
What's Happy Days?